take 2. I already recorded like 5 full minutes and then for some reason it crashed and everything is gone. So starting over now. I have a zit right there. Isn't it lovely? Ignore it. Whatever. I didn't feel like doing that much makeup. I did a little bit of makeup, but I didn't feel like doing that much makeup. Okay, so I have a couple of finished objects today. I went kind of hat crazy and cast on a bunch of hats that I didn't even need to be knitting right now because I have plenty of projects, but whatever. But first I finished my Witch gloves in the fiber seed. They are perfect for my office. They don't cover my Fitbit, which was one of my major goals with them, was I wanted a pair of gloves that would not cover my Fitbit. So they don't cover my Fitbit. They're just perfect. I love them. They go like, I did them like from the knuckle toward the wrist, right? And I love the way that they pooled. I find it really interesting how they pooled here because like I did these in the round, right? And then when I broke for the thumb, I went back and forth. So it created this pooling effect around the thumb that I find really interesting. I think had I known that was going to happen, I might have handled them differently. I might have done the whole thing knit flat. I'm kidding myself. I hate knitting flat because I hate seaming. So I probably still would have done them in the round. I would have still done them in the round. Okay, so that's those. They match my Corrado Lark hat, which was a test knit that I did with him a few years ago, and it is still my go-to hat. I wear this hat all winter long. It is absolutely my favorite hat. I have one other one that I did that's I think it's a Noro yarn that I didn't have a pattern for. I just made it up. Those two are like the hats that I wear all winter. I have a couple of like thicker, chunky hats, but I don't wear them nearly as much as these ones. So yeah, it matches my hat perfectly. I love it. It also matches the new coat that I just got for this winter. All kinds of goodness there. So I finished those. And then I went cast on crazy. I knit 3 hats. I think at least one of these is going to end up on my Etsy shop. And then one of them I think my wife might claim. I might make her a different color though, because she wasn't quite sure she liked the color. But so this one, I started doing hats with the Helix Method. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, Helix Method. I see this method on Pinterest all the time and in Instagram all the time, and I really wanted to try it. And now that I've started, like I can't stop knitting these Helix hats because it's like the best way to use up yarn scraps. And it gives me, using up yarn scraps gives me this major sense of accomplishment, which is like probably a direct result of being a child of hoarders. But using up stuff makes me feel really good. Like I love when I empty the ketchup bottle. I love it. I love to throw that away. Love to use up the yarn. I don't like to waste yarn, but I do love to use it up. So I started making these Helix hats and I can't stop. This one is like slouchy. Let's see. It's not my color, but it's like a slouchy hat in the back here, almost beret-ish. I did this one from the brim up. I'm pretty sure. I know I did one of these from the top down and I don't remember which one. I'm pretty sure I did this one from the brim up though. Oh no, nope. I think I did this one top down. So that's that one. It's all just acrylic scraps I had. Like this pink here, or this salmon color is like those little skeins that you can get at Target for like $1 in their dollar bin there by the door. The rest of these were just leftover scraps of acrylic that I had. So I'll probably put that on Etsy. It probably won't be very much because it's 100% acrylic. But yeah, that's that one. And then this one was just, I had this chunky yarn. I kept thinking I was going to make a dog sweater out of it. But honestly, if I put this on my dog, you wouldn't be able to tell she was wearing a sweater because it's the same color as her. So it's not a dog sweater. It is now a hat. And this is like a super chunky. It's like some of that funky yarn that everybody hates to work with because it's constantly splitting. So I did that one. Again, I just like to use up yarn scraps. I think it's 100% acrylic. I don't even know because I think somebody gave me that yarn and it never had a tag. So there's that one. This one I'm not going to put on because it's a baby hat. But I did this little baby hat with a little knot. I love doing an I-cord with a knot on baby hats. I don't know why, but I think it's adorable. So there's that one. This one is almost entirely Caron Simply Soft. which is of the acrylics, like I think one of the best, especially for baby stuff. I really like using Caron acrylic, Simply Soft for babies. So that is mostly Caron Baby Soft. There was this one yarn, the one that I used actually for the end here, was some sort of variegated. It was super soft, almost like a roving, but a really thin roving, and it had been given to me in a bunch of yarn scraps. I have no idea what it was. I kind of wish I did, because I would buy some of that. I liked that yarn a lot. And then I have one more hat, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm going to talk about the other things I finished before I get to those projects. I did a washcloth. That's a simple little thing. I haven't tied in the ends yet. That is part of a wedding gift for a friend who's getting married very soon. I was kind of like procrastinating on her gift because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to actually attend the wedding or if I was going to mail the gift. It is in Southern California. My sister's getting married in March, and I just can't afford to fly to the West Coast twice in such a short period of time. So unfortunately, I have to pass up my friend's wedding for my sister's wedding, because baby sisters trump friends sometimes. But I am gonna hopefully set up my friend's wedding with a Zoom link, and she's gonna be able to stream it so that I can see her wedding at least, and a couple of her relatives here in Maine can see her wedding, which will be very nice. I'm hoping I can set that up with her, or set that up for her. So that's part of her wedding gift. She probably won't watch this, but if she does, Amanda, that's part of your wedding gift. But it's not the whole thing, so it doesn't matter if you see it. So then I had this black chunky Barocco. I don't know where the tag is, but I'm sure it's around here, so I'll try to get it up on the show notes. But it's a Barocco. I had just bought it, like I was buying a bunch of yarn for a special, for a custom order knit. And whenever I buy yarn for a custom order, I like to throw on a skein of something I've never tried for myself. Especially if I'm ordering the yarn. If I'm in the shop buying yarn, that's different. But if I'm ordering yarn, I like to throw on a skein of something I've never tried to my purchases, just so that I can experience something new. So this was a chunky, it's 50, I want to say it's 50% acrylic, 40% wool, and 10% nylon, something to that effect. It's very cool. It's very soft and chunky. I like it a lot. I did this hat from the top down, which means that yes, indeed, I did this one from the top down. They would have to be the same because I did them the same style, because I did a little I-cord at the top. And I did that because this is going to be part of my Hilda set that I'm working on. So I don't know with my ears if I can pull off a Hilda hat, but we'll see. So this is, I gotta get lower or raise the camera up. So this is the start of my Hilda costume. I'm working on a full set eventually. I don't know if it'll be done by Halloween, only because I can't do the sweater until I can order some red yarn. And I can't do that until probably mid-month. Just financially. So this might not be a Halloween costume, it might just be like a cosplay. But eventually I will have a full Hilda set with slippers, sweater, little skirt, which I think is going to be attached to the sweater. I'm still working out the details. That hat and the scarf, which I started actually before I started the hat, but I haven't finished the scarf yet. So the scarf, which will have a little fringe at the end when I finish it. And this yarn is just like, again, this is me. This is what I'm on right now. This yarn is some acrylic crap that somebody gave me. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's from. I don't remember who gave it to me. It might have been from some of the stuff of my grandmother's, because I kind of inherited a bunch of my grandmother's stuff when she passed away. But I honestly don't know. I have no idea where this yarn came from, but it is yellow. I'm knitting it two held together, two skeins. I have two skeins and I'm doing the two held together to make it kind of chunkier because I wanted it to match the hat. I'm also going to get a chunky red yarn for the sweater. It's all going to be a chunky set. So that's the Hilda costume that I'm working on. I'm still working on those same yoga socks that I've shown you like 7 times because I keep procrastinating on finishing those. And then it's actually warming up in here. I I started another Helix hat because I can't seem to stop making these. This is all Caron Simply Soft. I can already tell I was like 4 rows into this hat, and I messaged my sister and I was like, oh, this is going to be one of my new favorite hats. Like, this is going to go along with my Witch hat and my Noro hat, because as much as I don't usually wear acrylic hats, most of my hats are wool. It's just too cute. So when I first started knitting when I was in college, I collected up some Caron Simply Soft, because it's something that when you start a new craft in my family, your family buys you craft supplies. My sister uses Caron Simply Soft a lot. My mother uses it for various things. So I ended up being gifted a lot of it. And this is like all my leftovers, and it's all my colors. Like, I basically dress in gray, black, and all the colors of the autumn forest. So this hat fits in perfectly because it's got all my colors. Yeah, so I started this Helix hat. I don't know why. All I want to do is knit Helix hats, except that I was going to get to this at the end, but I guess I'll talk about it now. Life is a little crazy right now. In that everyone's life is a little crazy right now because pandemic, but also just in general. One of my in-laws, who I love very much, is currently in the ICU battling COVID-19. My father and mother both have it right now. My mother's doing all right from what I hear. My dad had a stroke likely exacerbated by COVID. My sister's stepchildren have it. Like, it's just kind of, it's making its run through a large chunk of my family right now, on both sides of my family, both my family and my wife's family. It's been a lot to stomach. I also missed a week of work because the kids that I nanny had what turned out to be colds, but in these times we can't be too careful, and a kid has a sniffle and you end up not being able to go to work, right? And nannies don't always get sick pay. So financially that kind of was a mess, and it's been a time of it. So I think that like Gay Glaspie on her stuff is always talking about how she used knitting to work through her grief, right? And I think I use it so much to work through my anxiety, and because of various traumas from my childhood, using up yarn, using up art supplies, getting to the bottom of a bottle of salad dressing feels like I get an endorphin rush from it, right? Which is totally screwed up, but it is the way that my body works. So, which means that all I want to do right now is these Helix hats, because I just want to use up yarn. That's just what I want to do right now. I want to use up yarn. So I keep casting those on. So I'll probably end up finishing that Helix hat long before I finish any of these other projects that are far more important for me to be working on, such as my mental health. So I started I wasn't sure if I should talk about this one because it is a Christmas gift for a child, but yeah, there's a chance she will see it. I'm not going to talk about this, but I started a cast on for a Christmas gift for a kid. It's a custom order from my Etsy shop, which, as I've said, I don't often do custom knits. This is a small kind of fun one. It'll go fast when I actually like focus on it. And then, okay, my sweater. My sweater that I was talking about last time that I started in the Lamb's Pride. I've cast this sweater on 5 times. I've cast on 5 different sweaters with this yarn since my last video, because I couldn't decide what pattern I wanted. I couldn't decide what I wanted. And honestly, I'm still not sure I made the right choice, because I really think I want a cardigan. I wear cardigans the most. And I'm worried I will regret knitting the sweater that I'm knitting. I might. But after debating between all these other patterns, the ones I talked about last time that I wasn't sure of, I printed off like a bunch of patterns. I wasted so much ink because I work better on paper, so I always print off my patterns if I can. In the end, I am casting on, and I just need to commit myself. I cast on the flax from Tin Can Knits. I've gotten this far. Basically, I've got a collar. But it's a flax sweater from Tin Can Knits. I feel like everybody has knit this sweater at some point. And maybe I just need to be part of the crowd on that and actually own a flax. So I'm working on that a little bit, but it's not nearly as satisfying as my Helix hat. So really, I'm working on my Helix hat. And then the last knitting related thing I want to talk about, aside from the fact that like I'm cranking out pumpkins right now because it is, I'll put a picture up of my pumpkin earrings if you haven't seen them. I'm wearing my witches today, my witch hats today. But it is October, and so pumpkin earrings are quite popular at the moment. So I'm cranking out pumpkin earrings for my Etsy shop. And then the progress on the bigger on the inside shawl. Eventually I'll do a video that's just about this one shawl, because when I finish it, I want to do like a finished object video just about the one shawl, because it's such a unique pattern and I have a lot of opinions about it. None like negative. I don't have negative opinions about it. I love it. I think it's coming out lovely. I cannot wait to have knit it. I cannot wait to have, past tense, knit it. I am not loving the process of knitting this sweater. I know you're supposed to love the process. You're supposed to enjoy the journey. That's what Lane said on my last episode of my podcast, my audio podcast. I had Lane from New World Witchery, and we kept talking about how you don't knit for the finished object. You knit because you love the process. Only in this case, I really am knitting for the finished object, because this isn't something I could pay somebody else to do. Not in my budget. This isn't something that it's just not, it's intense. It's an intense pattern. And I can do, I mean, I did my eggshell sweater. I've done the wingspan shawl. Those are pretty intense. But I also did those when I had injured my back and I couldn't do anything but knit. So I was kind of stuck in bed all the time. And this one, I have a lot to do right now. I have a lot of projects going right now. And every row at this point, because I'm at the end of it where I have 311 stitches on the needles, and every row takes me like a half an hour. Every row at this point is a couple of knits, a couple of purls, a couple of twisted knits, a couple of whatever. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm an English style knitter. I'm not a continental knitter. I cannot hold tension with my left hand, which means that I'm constantly flipping the yarn back and forth with my right hand. I'm just finding it really exhausting. But I am about 25 rows from the end of this shawl, and when I finish it, I will have a lot of thoughts for a finished object video just about this one shawl. In the meantime, all I'm going to say is pick up and knit 311 stitches sucks. Oh my god, that process sucks. I think it took me an hour and a half. I definitely feel like there are a couple places where the stitches are not as evenly spaced as they should be. I don't know why pick up and knit is so hard for me. I do not like it. I do wish I had covered this zit with makeup though, because it's distracting even me, and I can only imagine it's distracting you. Whatever, just don't comment on my zit, okay? Yeah, so I'm almost done with that. 25 rows. I really just need to dedicate myself to finishing it, because oh my god, it's exhausting. And with that, what have I been reading? I haven't finished anything. I've read things, but I haven't really finished anything. I'm working on the third in the Libre Diviner series, which is, I should have brought up my Goodreads before I came in here. May the devil know you, devil knew you, when the devil knew, I don't know, something about the devil. So I'm finishing up that. I read Stiff. Mostly. I skipped a few parts that were a little bit too grisly for me. Stiff is about cadavers. It's about what happens with cadavers in all kinds of different situations, in scientific situations, in a funeral home. Like it's like the story of the cadaver in America, which I found fascinating. It was on the Gilmore Girls reading list. It was already on my list before that. my house used to be a funeral home. That's kind of a thing for me. I like that topic. I find it really interesting. So I wanted to read it. So, and I'm glad I did. I definitely did skip a few parts though that got a little grisly for me right now with everything kind of going on in my life at this moment. I just had to skip some of it. But I will talk about my personal life and what's going on in my world. First home and then work, okay? So I'm gonna knit while I talk. Home. My cousin moved out of our apartment downstairs. We did finally make the decision that we do need to move down there for a few different reasons. But we just, we need to be on the first floor for various mobility reasons, for all kinds of things. So I started actually this morning the process of moving us down there. We're not really in a huge hurry. I have a lot of work for this fall, so we're not like strapped without the rent for the next couple of weeks. So we're trying to kind of take it gradually, make sure that while we settle down, as we settle down there in a way that is organized and functionable. And then I think what we're going to do actually is sort of open up the building to be one family unit and just rent out a couple of rooms. We're kind of up in the air about that at the moment. Or if we'll do that or if we'll just rent out the majority of the second floor. So there's that. So in the process of moving downstairs. And in the meantime, I've been doing a lot of thinking about my jobs and my career path and what I want to do with myself. I think I mentioned last time I just read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I read that because these were the things I was thinking about. I've also been working my way through the masterclass. I can't remember her name, but it's the woman who is the editor of Teen Vogue. And her master class is all about building or creating your own career, establishing your career path and that sort of thing. And I've been thinking about, so I'm working on kind of a video that'll probably end up on TikTok. I don't think it'll be long enough to bother with YouTube, but I'm working on a video about what my normal week looks like. But to summarize it, on Mondays, I'm teaching classes at a couple of community colleges. They're all asynchronous online courses. I did the majority of the work for them over the summer, which means now I'm in a place where it doesn't take as many hours of my day. I forgot I finished sewn object. I'll get back to that. It doesn't take as many hours of the day. So what I do is on Monday mornings, I get up, I make sure all the folders for the week for each course have been properly opened, or have properly opened, because sometimes the system likes to, it'll have like a secret hidden date or whatever. So I make sure all the folders are open. I take attendance if I didn't remember to do it on Friday. I try to do that on Friday, but if I don't, I take it on Monday morning. And I do all of my grading, which means, of course, some weeks are slower than others. Some weeks grading takes an hour. Some weeks grading takes 4 hours. In a couple of weeks, my students in all of my English 101 courses, my comp, it's like freshman comp, they will all have their research papers due, which of course will take a lot longer to grade because those are 5 to 7 page papers as opposed to like grading a quick assignment. So on Mondays I do that. On Tuesdays I nanny basically all day. During nap time at my nanny job, if there's any time left over once I've like done my nanny tasks of, cleaning up the toy room, putting away the kids' clothes, that sort of thing. If there's any time left over, I also do some freelance writing that I do for a couple of different companies that I've been working with for a really long time. On Wednesday mornings and on Monday afternoons if I have time, which is today. Today's Monday afternoon, or this is a Monday afternoon. On those times, I work on all my Stitch and Witch stuff. So that can be any number of things. It could be knitting, it could be marketing stuff, it could be... One of the things I have to do this afternoon is I'm redesigning my return address labels because I don't like... The design doesn't fit my brand anymore. I had a different kind of brand logo to start with Stitch and Witch that I didn't really like as much. Actually, I've had a couple. I had one that I loved, but it wasn't really my colors, and I changed it to another one that I also liked, but I'm still working on it. But anyway, so on Monday afternoon and Wednesday morning, that's when I do those, and I do union work. I do member outreach for the union that I belong to. On Thursday, I nanny. On Wednesday afternoon and Friday afternoon, I nanny. So that's like my basic kind of rundown of everything I do. So let's go over that list again, okay? I teach, I nanny. And I tutor a couple of hours around the nannying thing. So I teach, I nanny, I tutor. I do freelance writing, my own graphic design stuff for Stitch and Witch, my podcast, this YouTube channel, knitting, knitwear design. Did I mention the union work and the union work? So those are all the things I do. And the conclusion I keep coming to, I keep on looking for and applying to full-time jobs, largely because I feel like I'm supposed to have one. I feel like I'm supposed to have, that's how I'm supposed to get healthcare. I feel like I'm supposed to have a singular path. I feel like I'm supposed to have an answer for the question, what do you do? And with that many jobs, that's a really difficult question for me to answer. When somebody says, what do you do to me? I'm always like, a lot of things. And I go from there. Like, how do you answer that question when you have 6 freaking jobs? So I came to the conclusion last week. I put this on my TikTok, actually. If you're not following me over there, I don't know, maybe you should. But I put this on my TikTok that I need to answer that question with I'm a working artist, because a lot of what I do is supplementary to my art, and my art being both knitting and graphic design, and drawing and such. So my art and my writing as well, like that's all art, right? So really what I am is I'm an artist who has a couple of other gigs on the side. I'm an artist who sometimes teaches writing and sometimes works as a nanny. And even when I'm working as a nanny, like a lot of that boils down to art too, because a lot of it is about, I mean, I tend to be hired by families that specifically want a creative, artsy nanny. I've been hired more than once by families because they were very athletic and they were very cerebral, but they didn't have an artsy creative side, and they wanted a nanny who would nurture that in their children because they knew as parents that was not their strong suit. So more than once I've been hired for that. That's kind of my shtick as a nanny. That's like my little carved out little niche for what I do as a nanny. I travel with an art box. I have a video I'm working on about that, but I travel with an art box to the kids' houses. We do projects, and I come up with new projects for them all the time based on what their interests are at that moment. I'm working on writing a book about this. So yeah, it all boils down to me being an artist. So this week I was supposed to have a job interview that I ended up not taking the interview even, because I know how much the job's gonna pay. I make more as a nanny, and I would not enjoy it as much as I do nannying. So to take a pay cut for a job that I wouldn't enjoy as much so that I can get healthcare I probably still wouldn't be able to afford because of the pay cut seems like a foolish idea. So my conclusion is, and my conclusion about all my soul searching of doing with, reading Gay Hendricks' book and thinking about this masterclass I've been doing and listening to the Dear Handmade Life podcast and a couple of other podcasts that make me think along these lines, my conclusion is that I really want to build my career around my creativity and not the other way around. I know a lot of people talk about like having a job that is not creative helps them with their art because it gives them time to do their art. I don't appear to be that person. The more creative my jobs are, the more I want to create. I can spend an entire day. I did the other day, last Thursday. I'll put a picture. Actually, I don't even have to put a picture up. I can show you. Last Tuesday at work. When I got there, one of the kids said to me, they had just watched Moana over the weekend for the first time. And we listened to the soundtrack a lot in my car, so they knew Moana, but they'd never actually seen the movie. I feel like that light's wrong. Is that better? They knew Moana, but they'd never actually seen the movie. So they watched Moana, and one of the kids said to me, I want to do a Moana craft. So while I'm at school, can you come up with a Moana craft? So I sent the 2 older kids off to school, and the 2-year-old and I came up with a Moana craft. We did the crab, whose name I'm now forgetting. Tamateo? I think it's Tamateo. With his 1 short leg and his 3 regular legs. And googly eyes, of course. Put some glitter on there. The body is a cover from a ball jar, and we filled it with glue, and then that way, especially with the 2-year-old, this was really helpful, and the 5-year-old really. The 7-year-old probably could have handled it, but the 2 and 5-year-old, it was really helpful to have like the glue kind of centered in something, and then they could just collect the shinies. And I had so many of these little gems and things that have been in my art box forever. That it worked out really well. I figured it's going to make like a really cute little Christmas tree ornament. For now, it's just hanging here on my wall, but eventually it'll be a cute little Christmas tree ornament. So I spent that entire day, and that was like, the 2-year-old and I did like 4 different crafts that day before we came up with that one, because we were trying to come up with the perfect Moana craft that the 2 older children would also enjoy, right? So when they got home from school, they were able to do this craft with us. So the thing that I realized though was I got home from work that day. I had spent all of Monday crafting, right? Because I'd been knitting basically all day Monday. I'm working on a couple of knitwear designs that I'm trying to write out the patterns to. So I was working on some like swatches and stuff. So I had knit all day Monday. I'd glued things all day Tuesday with the kids. I came home from work Tuesday night and I pulled out my crayons and I started coloring, and I was like, I do not get tired of crafting. Like, that's just not me. I don't get tired of it. I don't need the break from it that people talk about, like having a job that uses the other side of their brain. Maybe the other side of my brain doesn't work. Maybe I'm only the creative side of my brain, but I don't need that break from it. I really just enjoy crafting. I feel like I've been sitting too far from the light this whole time, and I hope this video doesn't suck. I just enjoy crafting. That's what I like to do. That's my happy place. That's my happy thing. So I really want to build a career around my creativity. And I feel like in the year 2021, in a still ongoing pandemic, with a high-risk spouse, my best path forward is through content creation and publication. I mean, I've published a lot of my writing over the years, but I think I want to start writing more about the crafty side of life. Like I said, I've been working on a book of kid crafts, and I've been working on a video about my kid art kit, and I want to do all of that. And I think this is just the direction that I'm headed in. So it seems kind of foolish to me at this point. Hot chocolate. It seems kind of foolish to me at this point to attempt to take a job that I wouldn't necessarily want, but I would take a pay cut for, just in order to fit into somebody's mold of what a career is supposed to be, when I've done a really good job of building this eclectic kind of off-the-wall career. And sometimes I get really stressed out about it. Sometimes I do get really stressed out about it. Probably more than one of my friends has heard me say, I wish I just had one regular paycheck. And it's true, I wish I did. Life would be easier financially if I just had one regular paycheck. But the fact of the matter is, I'd be bored out of my mind. I like what I'm doing. So I am saying all this to say that I really want to start making a more regular attempt at this channel, making a more regular attempt at my TikTok and my Instagram. I feel like those are my three zones. I feel like this is my zone. My zone of genius is in my creativity. My zone of genius is in my art. It's particularly how it relates to children, and that is where I want to go with it. So you can expect to see more kid crafts on here because I really want to do more of that. I did make a TikTok about the Moana craft if you are interested in doing that with your kids. It was really simple, so I didn't really need like a long video, but I did make a TikTok video about it. I think I made a YouTube short too, but yeah, so you can expect to see more of that sort of thing on here. Also, I'm gonna kind of work on my, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna work on all of that stuff because I really think that this is where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna try to finish my proposal for this book that I've been working on forever now. I have 2 actually that I've been working on book proposals for a really long time. I want to work on those and really focus on getting out this knitting patterns. I've got two patterns for mitts. If anybody's interested in test knitting, I'm looking for a couple of test knitters for 2 hand warmer patterns. One uses a DK weight yarn. They might both. No, wait, I think the other one was a worsted weight. One might be worsted weight. I know one's a DK weight. So if you're interested in that, I'm working on those patterns. And one is almost ready to go for test knitters. My last finished object that I forgot to mention at the beginning. I finally did it. I've been saying I was going to do this for a really long time. I finally made myself a bag for knitting on the playground. So, my little arm bag, because my socks are always like my go-to travel project, right? Because they're easy for that. So my yarn goes in a little yarn bag. My stitch, or my needle holder, also goes in a little bag. And I can stand on the playground and knit for hours. Which means I might actually finish these socks sometime soon. So that's everything I have today. If you are interested in my random like ramblings about my career and about my knitting and about whatever I'm talking about here, my books, when I can get into Goodreads, Facebook comes back soon. It's been out for like an hour. Let's see if it's back. Yeah, no, Facebook's still out. Hopefully that comes back soon. But in the meantime, if you're interested in all of this, like, subscribe, notification bell, all that crap that people say at the end of these videos. And also, if you join me over on Patreon, even if you don't subscribe, you can just follow. And I'm pretty sure you'll get an email about all my public posts I put up. And whenever I put up a new video or a new podcast episode, I always do a public post on Patreon. So if you're looking for another way to kind of keep track of what's going on Stitch and Witch, that's a really simple way to do it that is also free. I mean, it's better if you join Patreon and, you know, give me money so that I can do more of this. But if you can't do that, you can still follow. And I'm pretty sure you'll get those emails. I think that because there's somebody I only follow whose emails I sometimes get. So I think that's what's going on there. So that's everything today. I'm going to go probably knit more on this Helix hat because God forbid I actually do the work I'm supposed to be doing. Have a great day. Don't forget to craft outside the circle.